Hey guys, happy Monday. I I always say I'm super excited, but this guest I have had in my back pocket now for a couple of weeks, and I didn't squeak. I kept it a secret until literally yesterday when it posted in the team page. And so you guys had no idea who was going to be our guest speaker today, but we have Ashleigh Mayfield. Ambassador Diamond just went triple diamond on her 2.0, and it's like halfway through the month. And I don't know if that happened this month or last month, but congratulations to her. And she is just a ball full of energy. If you guys don't follow Ashleigh on social media, you need to go and follow her because she is high energy. You can vibe off of her. If you are feeling low energy on that day, you can go listen to her stuff. She's just absolutely amazing. And I always know that she's amazing. She has great things to share, but I know one of her passions has to do with the personality colors. And this is something that I personally have dove into just in the past couple of months, just working on leadership, becoming a better leader, a stronger leader. And I learned so much from her podcast that she did with Pam Souter. I listened to it twice and wrote tons of notes down. And then I just got the guts to just ask her, say, hey, can you Zoom with my girls? Because I can send them this podcast all I want, but sometimes just hearing it straight from you is just going to be life-changing. And so we are going to dive into that, guys. But before we do, of course, 60-second story, Ash, just, of course, your name, how long you've been in the business, and then just your mission statement with this.
Oh my gosh, I can't even say my name in 60 seconds. So I just had my 4-year anniversary 4 years ago. Life looked so freaking different. We underestimate what we can do in this business literally in 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. Like, you can absolutely change your life. If you told me 4 years ago this is where I'd be, I would have told you were out of your freaking mind. This company's allowed us to go debt free. It's allowed me to have options. When people say that, I was always like, what does that mean? And now, like, I get it. Like, I've been working every single day. Like, I'm a little red, but I'm turning brown, y'all. I'm trying to go to Brown Town. Okay. I'm able to work outside from my pool. Like, I'm living my best life over here. So that's just me.
I just love it. I just love it. I'm over here doing the opposite, trying to stay out of the sun because I don't need to be in the sun.
I'm like whiter than white. Like, I wish I was like that. I wish I had like that nice olive skin. I don't. So I just have to bake all the time.
Oh, I wish I could just pass it on to all of you guys. Okay, so we are going to talk about personality colors, guys. And basically, I'm just going to let Ashleigh just take over. I have 3 main points we're going to talk about. And so real quick, we're going to cover your personality colors, but really your strengths. A lot of times I feel like when we look at the personality colors, we can pick out 1 or 2, or we feel like one is better than the other. And that's not how it is. Everybody has a strength, and we want to empower you with this Zoom to basically say, number 1, if you don't know what your color is, I know that was asked in the chat. I'm going to throw it in our team chat here in Facebook, and then it can get passed along so you can take that test. But Ashleigh's going to really quickly go over our strengths and how you can use them to build your business, how it's not a hindrance, how you can use it to grow. We're going to talk about how you can use it for leadership to become a better leader and lead other colors that maybe you aren't dominant in, how you can still be a good leader to them. And then we're also going to talk about how to not use these colors necessarily as a crutch or as an excuse. And we'll just dive into that whenever we get there. So Ashleigh, just take it away, just the strengths of the colors and how we can use our colors to our advantage to grow our business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am like hugely passionate about the color personality. It's like top 4 things that I am very passionate about, not only in this business, but in my world. And so I just want you guys to know, I think what is important is this has changed my life. I think this is a very simple way that you guys can make a difference, not only in your own life, but in your world and in your business. But I think what's more important is that we're learning to understand who we are and who other people are. So whether you choose this, or I know some people love the DISC test or Myers-Briggs, I love all that stuff too, but this for some reason really clicked with me. So if you guys are not familiar with color personality, definitely take the test. It's easy to sit back and say, oh, I think that's who I am, or I think that's who I am. And you really need to be able to take the test just so it can kind of confirm who it is that you are. And like Valerie said, there's not a color that's better than the other. I know there are certain colors that feel that way. They're like, oh, I wish I was this. And I think on some level, we all feel that way in our own life. If we're logical, we wish we were a little bit more emotional. If we're emotional, we wish we were logical. If we're self-centered, we wish we cared about others. If all we do is care about other people, we wish we were more self-centered, right? And so we always kind of, you have long hair, you want short hair. You have short hair, you want long hair. Like that's who we are. But there's not one color that's better than the other. I am huge on not just colors, but color combos. So whenever you do take the test, I think it's important that you understand your top 2 colors, because that's like your natural disposition. So I'm a red, blue, through and through all day long. I'm like 60% red, 20 to 30% blue. And it's important for you to know who you are, because I am a red, but then I have very strong blue tendencies. And I can't, it's easy for me in my red self to be like, oh, why am I so lazy? Or why do I feel like such a loser? Or why do I cry all the time? Well, being able to identify that second color is extremely powerful. So let me kind of dive in a little bit. I always like to go in the order that I am, just because that's how I teach it. So if any of you are reds are super goal oriented. We are mission minded creatures. We take the bull by the horn. I always say, if you're not a red, you want a red in your downline, because you literally, like a red, we could be dying in an car accident with our arms severed off, and we're going to find a way to make money. We're going to find a way to recruit someone. We're going to find a way to pop promotion. Like, we get crap done. We are no excuse type people, and we're hungry for it. We are driven by growth. We are driven by power, by title, by status, by those materialistic things. I mean, any color can really be driven by materialistic things, but I think that those accolades, those achievements, like a red gets really, really geeked up on that. And so, like I said, I'm 60% red. I'm actually not money driven, and I love money. I like spending money. I value money, but I grew up so poor. When my parents got divorced, we relocated across the country, and we grew up, I was raised in a single wide trailer. I had never seen money. I didn't know what it was to succeed. So I wouldn't really consider myself successful now, but in the eyes of people, I am. It's absurd to me. I'm just like, oh, it's just money. Like, that's how I feel. But I'm really driven by my blue. So again, when you understand who you are, you're going to be able to identify how you're driven. And I'll get to that in a second. But reds, if you are red, or you have that red in you, don't feel bad. And this is where there's like a lot of judgment, right? People are going to say, oh, it's not about the money. No, Heffa, I beg to differ. Like, I feel a lot more secure and empowered as a mother and as a wife, knowing my family is in cars that are actually reliable. I feel better and more confident as a mom, knowing a year and a half ago we were able to move across state just because we could, and put our kids in a better rated school system. Money matters. Okay. And some people are driven that way. You're driven like, listen, I might not be driven by money, but you hand me a microphone and it's game over. Okay. Like, y'all know I like my Facebook lives. You know, I dominate the stage when I take the microphone. So reds were really driven and hungry for that status, for that power. And I think some of our strengths are just that we're go-getters, man. We take the bull by the horns. We have that natural fire on the inside of us that can't be quenched. We're very self-focused. We get very laser focused on exactly what it is that we want. And regardless with any color, it's important that you have a goal, but specifically with reds, you've got to make sure you have that next goal, because we're driven by growth. And if we are not growing, that's very insulting to us. If you're not helping us grow, it's insulting. And so again, we'll get to that in a second. But where are blues at? I see, hey, Maria is a blue, Casey, dominant blue. Okay. So where are the blues at? Either dominant or second green, or second color blue, excuse me, not green. I saw blue green. That's why I said that. But blues are feeling oriented. And so very feeling, oh, let me go back to red. Sorry, I'm all over the place now because I just saw that comment. So reds, a great way that you can build your business is just being aggressive. And now take that with a grain of salt. We're not here to bulldoze over people, which is what reds typically tend to do. But what I know is that in my network and proactively, I can be as aggressive as I want. I can send as many host to posts a day as I want. I can do all the Facebook lives. I can do all the TikToks that I want. Like, I can be as aggressive and as bold as I want with my network. So knowing your color personality is important because I can be very aggressive with my network, right? I can go after as many fishies as I want. But when it comes to my team, I cannot be aggressive with them, right? Because then I'm like a slave driver and that's not okay, right? And so it's important that you're able to differentiate how to use your gift, because too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. It could be, you can be really reckless with your gift, right? And so just know that you can be as aggressive and as bold as you want. And because we're the go-getters, so go get your network. So blues are very feeling oriented. If you're a blue, you're very emotional. We're sympathetic, empathetic. We have charisma. We have really good energy. We love people. I really genuinely think if you're a blue, you were born to do something like this because you love people. Like I can be standing in Publix and talking to people about why like rectangular cut carrots are better than circle cut carrots. Like we just talk to people, you guys. I got in trouble all the time in high school. I had ISS, I had OSS, I had Saturday school. Like this got me in a lot of trouble. And like drop a 1 in the chat if your mouth got you in trouble. Okay. I'm sassy. I'm aggressive. I'm like, you know, I got Saturday school. I'm like, you think that's going to stop me from going to the beach on a Friday? I don't think so, principal. Okay. And so I got in like detention so many times. They'd have to move me from people and then put me next to the wall. And then I'd start talking to myself. Like, yo, I did it to myself. Okay. And so, but that's a blue. Like we color outside the lines. We're super creative. We think outside the box. We're very rebellious. Like I don't drink, but I always share the example, like hold my beer, I'm going to go jump off the roof. Like that's a blue. We're daring. We'll just throw Jello against the wall and see what sticks. And so being able to be in a business like this, where we are people driven, right? We're not system driven, although we're grateful for systems, right? Valerie, the green, we're grateful for our systems, but we are people driven. And I just
what is the problem?
Listened.
That
Get out of the corner.
Okay, Ashleigh, unmute yourself again because I can't find you.
So I'm a blue. I just got to say, I get it. I had one of those days as a parent as well, everybody. Okay. Like I actually just made a story about it. I was like, everyone in the Mayfield household lived today, but someone almost didn't. Someone else didn't make it. Can I get a 2 in the chat if y'all feeling me on that? Why y'all think I got the donuts right now? Because I'm like, I'm gonna eat some donuts tonight. Okay. So, but blues, you know, I just heard something that was so powerful to me. It's that when it comes to tasks.
Those are the boys because he needs you.
Stephanie, you really want to mute, huh?
Okay, I think you're clear.
All right. Hey, Stephanie, you really don't want to unmute because I think we don't want to hear what's going on.
Yeah, you just need to make sure that mic is not your volume. It's not your volume.
So I heard something that was really powerful, and it said that with tasks, you can be efficient, but with people, you have to be effective. And I think sometimes we, especially if you're not a blue, we just want to be efficient with people, right? Like my red does. I'm like, okay, can you give me your credit card though? Like, I don't care how much weight you want to lose. Can you just give me the 3-digit code on the back? Okay, cool, thanks. Right? Like, and I can say the same about like greens and yellows to a certain extent because they're very task driven. So you can't be efficient with people, but you have to be effective. Blues know how to be effective with people. You speak people. Like that is sales. It's the transfer of emotion from one person to the next. And so blues, you speak people. You were born to do something like this. And so I always encourage my blues to get in front of people. It is one of the greatest ways that you can win. We got to keep it fun. Listen, blues, we are the rebels. It like in I know I'm not supposed to talk about the negative stuff, but I am, and I'm knocking me too, blues. So if you feel me on this, drop a 3 in the chat. Like we're kind of lazy and we like instant gratification. Okay. Like I'm the person that I couldn't understand for the longest time why I loved shoveling the driveway. We used to live in Michigan. Why I love shoveling the driveway. I love mowing the lawn, and I love vacuuming. Y'all know why. It's those lines. It's the instant gratification. Like I'm working and I can see the result as I'm doing it. Okay. And that's a blue. We want to sign one customer and then we're going to get pissed why we don't make $500. Your blues are going to talk to you on a Monday and they're not going to talk to you for another 13 days. And you're like, did you die? And they're like, no, girl, I'm back. Like they're just la, 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 because we're feeling oriented. And so in order to keep this fresh for a blue, you have to make it fun. If you're so rule oriented or you're so rigid or you're kind of like stick up your butt, you're going to lose your blues. And we'll talk about that in a second, but blues, you got to keep it fun. And I can't think of any more fun than we have than when we're around people. Like we get fulfilled and we are energized when we are in the presence of people. So how can you do that in your business? Well, number one, a couple different things. You can use video. Utilize your stories, utilize TikTok, utilize Facebook Live, talk to people. You can FaceTime, okay? Send voice memos instead of using your thumbs. Now, blues, let me go ahead and insert here. Don't be sending 15 1-minute voice memos, okay? Sometimes I get like a 1 minute, like 15 of them. I'm like, you gotta be friggin' kidding me, okay? So like, you're not trying to tell like a novel, okay? But send a voice memo because people being able to hear your excitement and your passion. You also like blues, we tend to like shoot people. They say they're thirsty and then we unleash like a fire hose on them. Don't do that, right? But show people you're passionate and show people your excitement. I find that when I'm excited, that it helps me so much. I find when I get on voice memo and I'm like, oh my gosh, Valerie, I know, listen, I assure you, we're going to make sure that you're in love with the product, not just this order, but July and August. Don't get tripped up about the auto ship. It's really not a big deal. In fact, you're actually locked into this price. And what I will let you do is next month, if you don't like these pick 3 products, I'll let you mix and match. Like, girl, I got you. Do you like hear my excitement, my passion? Like when you're objection handling, try to get on, use your voice instead of your thumbs, blues. It's going to make you feel better, but you're going to be able to exude. I don't know if that's the right word. Portray your excitement and your passion. Okay. So let's talk about yellows for a second. Where are my yellows at? Hello. Yellows are service oriented. So yellows and reds are polar opposites. So red, I told you it was all an internal fire. Yellow, it's an external fire. So yellows are typically like, go ahead and drop whatever your occupation is. Like yellows are typically your stay-at-home mom, teacher, nurse, caregiver, social worker, volunteer, veterinarian, manager, accountant. Like you do something for someone else or you serve an overall mission or overall organization, right? And so you're fulfilled when you're giving, when you're serving. And I can't think of a better industry and a better company to be with, which the heart of our company is service, but also like we get paid to help people. Like who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want to get paid to help people? And yellows have this phenomenal superpower. Every color is amazing. There's not one color that's better than the other. But like I said, I oftentimes do feel like yellows think they're the underdog, and what you don't realize is your own superpower. Yellows are a chameleon. So because you're externally driven, you can almost shapeshift depending on the environment that you're in. That's actually really powerful because reds, we typically tend to be like really, really stubborn and our feet, like even to our own detriment. My husband could be like, don't cross the road. I'm like, mother trucker, you don't tell me what to do. Where are my stubborn people at, right? Like dumb stuff, you guys. We do this dumb stuff to ourselves, right? Now, yellows, you're just as stubborn, but in a different way. But yellows, you love helping people. And sorry, I don't mean to disrespect our blues for a second, but unlike a blue, yellows, you're super honest. You're super reliable. You're super dependable. Like you have, like your word is your bond. You have all these phenomenal traits about you. People are not going to think that you're scamming them. People are not going to think you're pulling a fast one on them. Unlike us reds and blues, okay? Like, because the blues are just gonna like be so excited and the reds are like, so can I have that credit card number or what? But yellows, you're so honest, and that heart is gonna take you very far because it not only means that you're gonna be really passionate about taking care of your customers, but you're gonna be passionate about taking care of your team. And with that being said, I would say yellows, you are a little stubborn. You like to be very independent. You don't like to ask for help because you're used to being the help. So that's something you got to be a little mindful of and careful of. I'm sure, Valerie, you guys have phenomenal systems and leadership that you need to be able to lean in and ask for help whenever you need it. But I can't think of a better heart to have in this business than a yellow who values serving, because you're not just showing up for your mission. you're actually showing up for a bigger mission. You're showing up for Valerie's mission. And, you know, I always let people know we have a weekly new distributor launch, and I always thank them for joining. Like, if you're on here and you're a yellow, like, thank you for putting yourself first, because that's a really big deal for you guys. But at the end of the day, sometimes your mission isn't enough because you like being used by other people. And so I want to let you know on here as well that Valerie can use you to better, you know, the organization at large. And I don't say that, I'm not plugging Valerie, but I'm saying, like, she's got an overall mission, and you have, like, your macro goal is her micro goal. And so she has a macro goal that you guys serve as well. And so know that as a yellow, every time you show up, you're adding value to her macro goal. So thank you. Like, that's a really big deal. And then last but not least, where the greens at, greens, we would be lost without our greens. Shoot, I'm like negative 37% green. I would be freaking lost without all the greens. We just had, like, over the last 60 days, all these greens rise up. And I'm like, okay, God, you got jokes. 3 of them went double. 1 of them went triple. I was like, all right, God, like, let me offset the psycho Mayfield. But greens, you're so powerful. You're very OCD. You're systematic. You value order, you value structure, you're very meticulous. Greens and blues are polar opposites. So where blues are very fulfilled by people, they're very emotional, they're very loud, and it's an external thing. Greens, it's very internal. It's very logical. It's very order. It's very independent. It's very non-people. Okay. And so to kind of like give you an idea of the difference is me and my husband, we're both reds, but he swings green and I swing blue. So we could be going on vacation and my husband has his bag, like, I am not lying. He has his bag packed 48 hours before we leave with a printed out itinerary down to the minute of where we're supposed to be at Disney World. And literally 30 minutes before we leave, I'm finishing laundry and like brushing my teeth and trying to make a list of the things that I need to pack. Like, that's the difference between the two of us. Okay. And so greens are very meticulous and detail oriented. And I think where greens really win is comprehending our compensation plan, really understanding the money, really understanding the power of residual income. You don't want to cross a green. Don't ever listen, it's going to take a lot to tick a green off, but when you do, it's game over. They are very loyal creatures. And so, I mean, you could probably like smack a green in the face and they'll like tolerate it for a certain amount of time, you know, but when you like cross a green, it's just, you're just dead. Like, it's just done because they're so loyal to a fault. But I think the biggest thing that the greens bring to the table really is the information. They're driven by data. They're driven by information, being able to cultivate systems. That's why I need my greens around me to be able to think. I might be like creative and have good ideas, but as a blue, I'm never going to implement them. Sometimes I always say that I'm really, and it's actually like a fault of mine, I'm a really good starter and I'm a really bad finisher, or I overcommit and underdeliver. Where my blues at. That's what we tend to do. So the greens are there to help fulfill that, right? They're there to be the safety guard. Like, hey, that's great. You want to do that, but like, that's great. A great idea, but how is that logically going to happen? I mean, I had an idea one time. I was telling my husband over ice cream. I was like, if I was the dean of a college, every 25 years, I'd give away free tuition. I had this whole plan in my head. My husband's like, how long do you plan on living? Every 25 years you want to give away? And I'm like, oh, all right. And so greens are just very logical. But the one thing that I will say is, I mean, they're going to add so much value to your organization. They're going to bring so much structure to your organization. They're going to help you develop those systems because greens are very efficient. They value efficiency. But where it's going to hurt them is because they're so data driven. They presume that everybody else is that way too. So when it comes to their network, they're going to want to unleash the fire hose just like blues, but in a different way with all the information. Sometimes greens do that to prove themselves. I'm on to you guys. Okay. They're like, oh, I know I'm smart. Let me tell you everything I just read. Right. So it's just important that you stay in that lane. But I think when greens understand the compensation plan, understand how to make money, that's kind of when it starts clicking and when they start going. I always tell yellows and greens, because they're super task oriented, I usually always want them to get started with host to post. And not that reds and blues can't do host to post, but reds and blues are already going to take action without you telling them. Reds because we're go-getters, blues because we live on hype. Like we live on short spurts of hype, okay? And yellows and greens are a little bit more of processors, where reds and blues are a little bit more impulsive. So with the processors, they're really looking for order. They're looking for structure. Yellows need to be told what to do. Like they love that. Don't think you're bossy. They love to be told what to do. But greens, what I find is they really don't want to get in front of their friends and family and try to sell. They'd rather feel more confident in doing it in front of strangers. So being able to really implement host to post from the get-go, that's been huge, huge, huge. That was a lot, Valerie. Sorry.
No, it was good. It was good. And I wanted to start off with that because like how we talked about we feel like we can covet what somebody else has, thinking it's better than what we have. And I just loved how you build every single color up, and it makes everybody excited to know, like, yeah, that's me. And so now as we keep going and we leave this Zoom, you guys remember this hype that you feel right now about how empowered, like how proud you feel about yourself right now, and then go and do these things. Like we're going to talk about how to lead your team now, how to talk about the opposite. So not just understanding who you are and your strengths and taking advantage of that. So I hope you do and understand it is a strength and run with it. But now we're going to talk about the opposite, because that's where, as a leader, it can get difficult, because I don't know a blue. I am not blue whatsoever. Yellow is there, but she has her own little name and I have to summon her like a genie. And I'm very red and green. And so I've had to learn how to lead a yellow. I'm still learning how to lead blues, but it makes you a better leader overall. And so number one, please run with your color and your strengths and be proud of it. And I feel like just that within itself, that energy is going to explode your business. But number two, now we're going to talk about knowing your team's colors and an example of how to lead each color whenever you are maybe the opposite. What can we do to lead our teams better?
Yeah. So this is always interesting because, again, I usually am more of like a combo. So I'm going to, take like when you know what your team's colors are, the way that you would lead a red blue is different than the way that you would lead a red yellow, different than red green, because that second color really does matter. So just keep in mind, and kind of like as I go through each of the four colors, like take all the notes, because you can always go back and like pair based on whoever you're talking to. So for a red, I can just tell you, like, we're extremely aggressive. We like to win. And like I said, if you are not a red, you want a red in your downline. It is a phenomenal thing. Do not be intimidated by us. Okay. We're just there to win. We're probably going to think we're better than you and the rest of the world. Like, just let us live in our la la land. Okay. We eventually, like, something will trip us up. One thing that I'm constantly coaching people on with reds is that if I'm going left, okay, so let's say, who on here is a yellow? Who on here is the yellow? There's the first one that says it, me, Amber. Okay, so Amber's a yellow, okay? If Amber had me in her downline, she'd probably want to kill me or, crap her pants and cry every day, okay? I'm very aggressive, okay? But here's the deal, and this is what you need to know if you have a red in your downline. If Amber has me in her downline, and I am going left, I'm going left. And Amber knows I should be going right. But Amber is a yellow. And what I've learned about yellows is that you guys are really good at talking about the problem to everyone else but the person. Okay? So yellows, okay? Come on. Sometimes yellows are like, y'all, what's so funny is yellows know what to do. My yellows will come to me and they're like, oh my gosh, this is what's going da-da-da. And I'm like, perfect. Go tell them everything you just told me. Like, but you're like, but I don't want to hurt their feelings. I don't want to make them upset. Okay. I need you to know that if Amber had me in her downline, and if I'm going left, and she's like, you know what? Ashleigh would win if she goes right. But I don't want to tell her because I don't want to hurt her feelings. You're more likely to insult me as a red by staying quiet than by telling me what to do. And so I need you to catch that. Because I know sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, they're so intimidating. They're going to bite my head off. Absolutely not. I'm driven by growth. I'm driven by power. I'm driven by winning. And if you see a way that I can win, now I would say sometimes like reds are very stubborn. So your approach matters, right? I wouldn't just be like, hey, you stupid jerk, you're going left, go right, which as a yellow, you'd never say that, right? I don't know any other color that probably would say that other than a red. And I've had some reds go head to head, okay? It does happen. But what I would say is just, hey, Ashleigh, I think you're doing an awesome job. I think I found another way you could win faster. Would you like to hear it? My husband has learned in his green, when he's trying to greenify me, oh, don't tell me what to do. Oh, like, no. So he's learned to ask me questions. Hey, can I give you a suggestion? And I'm like, absolutely. But don't just come in and try, because as reds, we really do want to win. We're not just flippantly running. Like, we're really like, we're very fast learners. Like, we think we're right, you know? And so that's the biggest thing that I can tell you. If you have a red underneath you, empower them. We love recognition. Every human loves recognition, but reds, we thrive on it. We thrive on public validation. We thrive on, if we do hard work, validate us, man. Give us public recognition. We get geeked on that. Okay. Anytime I do a Zoom for someone and they always message me and they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm like, thank you. Like, we get geeked on stuff like that. Okay. So just stroke our egos. We love that. You want to keep a red close to you. You want to know how you have a red in your pocket. Stroke our egos. Oh my gosh. You were amazing. I can't think of anyone else that could have done that better than you. I'm like, oh, stop. Tell me more. That's how reds are. Okay. But like I said, we like to win. So don't think that you're going to hurt our feelings. You're going to do more damage and you're going to hurt us more if you don't confront us and if you see a better way than by staying silent. With your blues, oh my gosh, blues are so much fun and they are a handful. Can we all be honest? Like, and I'm a blue, so I'm speaking for myself. Okay. Blues might not even, I saw like 2 of them on here. The rest of the blues, they forgot about the Zoom. Okay. And so they'll come back and watch the replay in like 39 days. And so blues, they're kind of here one day, gone the next. And you've got to really help them identify that why. Blues are driven by their emotions. Blues are driven by their feelings. Blues are the ones that spend all their money going to the club instead of paying their rent. Blues are the ones that are going to give back to a foundation because it made them cry, opposed to paying their electric bill. Like, blues are going to go shopping and keep that credit card maxed out instead of like actually paying it off. Okay. That's just blues. They're bad at management. They're bad at money management. Like they don't want to follow the rules. They lack discipline. So some things that I try to do is, number one, make it fun. You got to make it a game. That's something I personally have to do with myself too. Set a timer for 15 minutes. How many people's walls can I write on? How many people can I engage with? How many host to posts can I get up in 20 minutes? How many people can I add on social media in 15 minutes? You just have to make it a game. I always joke, and it's not a joke. I was raised on Mario because like, I am 35 in case y'all didn't know. And so like, 30 years ago, our parents left us home alone and Mario, like I was raised on Mario. And so I'm trying to like level up. I got to save the princess. So things being like a chase is really exciting, not just for my red. Oh, reds, we love to hustle. We're driven by the chase, but as a blue as well. What I've also found is that I'm actually more driven by my blue. And this is like a last like 4 to 5 month discovery. I'm more driven by my blue than I am my red, even though I'm like 60% red. It's when I'm left out. It's when I'm counted out. It's when people don't think I can. It's when people exclude me. It's when I don't get invited to something. That pisses me off and I get driven. And so sometimes you can have fun contests and your blues are going to show up for the contest, right? Sometimes recognition for other people really gets a blue going. I want to get shouted out. I want that. And so when you're honoring the right behaviors just in your team or in your downline, your blues are going to notice that. But I would say the biggest thing is make it fun. If you are super green and everything is very rigid and very stiff and very power hours 5 times a day, and you need to make a list and you need to be organized with a binder, like that's just not how blues think. When you cage us, when you put rules on us, we feel like a caged dog. Like, it's just like, you got it. Like, we're just this caged bird that can't fly, and we want to rebel against it. And so you got to let us thrive in our chaos. And so don't be alarmed if a blue crosses the finish line and it looks different than you. It's okay. It doesn't have to be a notebook that's organized with highlight and all this stuff. But they do got to have a system. And so help them find their system. Help them find those 3 things they're going to do every day and hold them accountable. Check in with them. You can't really rely on a blue. And I love you. Don't feel bad if you're blue. Listen, I'm like 20 or 30% blue, and you can't. Like, I've got cards right here from people that promoted last month and in April. Okay. Like, and I just finished them tonight and I stamped them. Giselle, your card is in here. Okay. Giselle went double diamond. And so, you know, I can't be responsible for doing something almost 60 days ago that happened. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how we are as blues. So you can't rely on a blue when they say they've got it, that they got it. You got to really hold them accountable. Yellows. Let's talk about yellows. Leading a yellow. Yellows love instruction. I do not know any other way to tell you. I freaking love yellows. Now, 2 years ago, I hated you guys. Okay. I was like, oh, all these softies, I don't understand. Now, I love yellows. Why? Because yellows love being told what to do. And guess what? I like bossing people around. I'm a red. Okay. Yellows love instruction. Now, if you're a red personality, you're going to be very frustrated with yellows. Okay. And you need to change. If you have yellows in your downline, you need to change. I changed 2 years ago. And this is when my business exploded or 3 years ago. It's almost been 3 years I've been doing the color personality. And I changed because for every 1 red I'd get on my team, I would have 10 yellows. And I was like, God, why can't I just attract reds? And it was literally like a Holy Spirit moment. And he's like, wouldn't it make more sense for you to learn, for me to change, to learn how to speak yellow, than for me to try to hustle reds? And I was like, oh my gosh, ding, ding, ding. And you know, if you are a red or if you're a different color, maybe you're a blue or maybe you're a green, if you're bold and you're confident and you're secure and you're decisive, those are some qualities that yellows lack. And so I don't just want to speak from a red's perspective, but do we have a lot of reds on here? First or second color red that you know of, just drop like a 4 in the chat if you are. And so, cause I don't just want to like dominate the red perspective, but I think it's really powerful because that's where my life changed. That's where my business changed. And that's what turned me on to the color personality is I just realized one day, like, I'm not a yellow. I'm not driven. I am driven. Everyone's driven by community, but for me, it looks different than a yellow. Okay. I don't need to be around a lot of people. I actually just recently took a test and found out I'm super introvert. My husband has changed me with his green ways. But I'm like a introvert extrovert. Like, I can put on it, but I actually don't like being around people. I get very nervous. I don't want to say anxiety, but my blue, like I'm so afraid of people judging me face to face that I'm actually like really, really quiet in a crowd. And anyways, I don't even know why I got to that. That was my blue moment. Squirrel. So as a red, I used to get really frustrated with yellows. And the reason being is because as reds, we have expectations of people. I expect you to see it like I see it, want it like I want it, run like I run. And because it comes instinctively to us, it's innate, it's natural. Yellows, it's not natural. And I say this very respectfully. I need to find better verbiage. This is not disrespectful when I say that. Yellows, hear me, okay? Yellows have employee mindsets. And again, I need better verbiage, but I say that that's a great thing. Yellows, when their schedule says 9 a.m., they're going to show up at 9 a.m. When it says lunch is 12 to 12:30, they're going to take lunch 12 to 12:30. And when it says they end at 5, they're going to end at 5. And they're going to finish the job tomorrow. Now a red is like, mother trucker, I'm going to work through lunch and I'm going to stay until 6:15 because I got to get the job done. But a yellow would do that, but you never told them to. You expected them to instinctively have this awareness that they weren't built with. And so I love yellows. Yellows, if you give them clear expectations, you give them clear directions. One thing I do with people that are yellows, don't insult a yellow. They're very fast learners, very, very strong individuals. Don't insult them. Okay. Don't talk down to them. But one thing that I've learned is I like to ask questions. So let's say Sierra on here with her little bing bong. I like your little thing, Sarah. That's cute. So Sierra. So let's say Sierra is a yellow. I don't know if she is or not, but let's say Sierra is a yellow. She is a yellow. Okay. So I'm going to say, let's say it's June 1st. Oh my gosh, Sierra, I'm so excited. It's the beginning of a new month. I'm really excited to help you reach your goals. Do you have a game plan for this month? Or can we come up with one together? You guys, either or questions with your yellows. Remember, you know how we on Instagram, when we do a poll, we do yes or yes? Okay, well, I'm doing it game plan or game plan. Sierra, do you have your own game plan for this month, or can we come up with one together? Guess what Sierra's going to say? Can we come up with one together? I'm giving her an out, but I'm not belittling her. I'm not like, Sierra, do you have a game plan, or do you want me to tell it to you? Okay, now that's what I'm thinking as a red. Let's all be honest. Okay, because reds were jerks. Okay, I love us, but we're kind of, and, but I'm giving Sierra an out. And, when you ask yellows questions in group chats and you're like, why are they not responding? Because you're asking them things they don't know. They don't want to get it wrong. I'm learning more and more yellows do not like getting things wrong. In their world, it is very right or wrong. That's just the way it is. Yellows need to be affirmed. Yellows don't need public recognition. Now, I think every human deserves public recognition. So hear my heart when I say this. I'm not saying don't give a yellow public recognition. I'm saying they don't crave it like a red. Yellows are okay behind the scenes, but they still, like, words of affirmation are so freaking huge for yellows. They need to be validated. They need to be affirmed. I could say, and this is reds, you just got to be okay with this. It's going to piss you off, but I could say, tomorrow, everybody wear a blue shirt. And Sierra would message me and say, I just want to make sure everyone's supposed to wear a blue shirt tomorrow. And as a red, I'm like, did I stutter? Where are my reds at? Y'all ever felt that way? Like, are you kidding me? Did you just clarify the clarity? Like, I'm pretty sure I was so freaking clear in what I said, but that's how yellows think. They need to be validated like that, right? And so it's so important. That's the biggest thing that I can understand is reds. You just got to move on. You just got to say, you got it. And then move on. Okay. Don't be frustrated at that. That's how they just need to put it in their own words in their head. They're processing it. They don't like to be wrong. So affirm them. When you have a yellow that's doing something right, affirm them. Get in their chat and be like, atta girl, awesome job. Like, affirm them, because then they're going to be like, oh, okay. Because it was probably a really big deal, whatever they did. So make sure that you're leading them that way. But like I said, the biggest thing I can find with yellows is either or questions. Give them that out. It's so freaking gold when I discovered that. Being able to say, hey, Sierra, I'm so excited. Do you have a game plan for how you're going to do your host to post today, or can we come up with one together? And when she says, can we come up with one together? You want to know what Sierra has given me permission to do? She's given me permission to tell her what to do, because we already know I have everything I want Sierra to do anyways. So I'm like, perfect. Here you go. Copy paste. Okay. But asking questions is so, so big. Last but not least, what about the greens? I think the greens are a little similar to yellows. I do find that greens will respond. They're not so deer in the headlights when you ask them questions. I think the biggest thing is just understand that greens are going to ask 7.5 questions. And where a red or a blue's going to be like, what's it matter? A yellow is going to spend all their time answering the questions, and they're going to feel validated. And you got to be like, yellows, you got to work your business too, but reds, we're going to get irritated because we're like, oh my God, that doesn't even freaking matter. But sometimes you've got to be able to answer a green without answering them. And I'm very clear up front when I'm like doing when I'm launching a new distributor, and I'm like, hey, you're green. This is a safe space for you to answer questions, but I need you to know some of the questions I'm going to answer. Some I'm going to point you in the direction I want you to go, and some I'm going to tell you they don't matter right now. And I just need you to trust me. My goal is to establish trust with the green as quickly as possible. I need them to trust me. I need them to trust that I'm going to make them the most money and not my pocketbook. And that is how I coach my team, just for clarity's sake. I coach them to take money out of my pocket. I'm a red. I can create multiple streams of income. I don't need to build people to emerald and then let them be on their own, whatever this mumbo jumbo crap is. Okay. And so you got to establish loyalty and trust with your green. And, I'm very clear. Hey, you don't need to know that. Hey, that's a great question. That's like step 5. We're at step 2 right now. So let's focus on this. But I'm really specific with greens, what their next step is. Hey, your next step, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to tag you in this thread. I'm going to create this. I'm going to do this. We're going to get you launched. Like I'm leading them step by step. Hey, once you get your 6 customers, then we're going to start fishing for distributors. Like I'm guiding them step by step. So I'm already answering questions now that I understand the color personality. I'm almost 3 years deep in this. I'm already answering questions that I anticipate they're going to ask me based on history. But with a green, I can tell you the hardest thing that you will have. Everybody has a dip. How many of you guys know, like you hit a lull in your business? Drop a 5 if you know that, okay? You go to Ruby and you hit a dip, or your first 30 days are a dip. There's going to be a dip at some point. And I am telling you right now, especially with greens, if you can just help them get through that dip, they're loyal. You got them. There was a green that's in my tribe. And when she hit Ruby, she kind of went through a lull. And I just remember how much I had to coach her, because greens can only see to the tip of their nose. So that means when you have a green that goes from paid as diamond to paid as ruby, they better be your first freaking phone call. Because that green is already like, I'll never do it again. I'm done. It'll never happen. It's like they have to see it to believe it. And because they haven't experienced it yet, it's not possible. So a lot of times with my greens, because I have that bird's eye view, I'm making sure that I'm like, no, you can do it. You're going to be okay. I just had someone a few months ago went through something, one of my leaders who's a dominant green, where her husband had lost his job. And that's a pretty big deal. And I remember, like, I just got on the phone with her and I just said, I need you to listen to me. She's a green yellow, super processor. I'm red blue. She's green yellow. She's super processing right now. Like, oh my gosh, this was not the plan. This isn't how we wanted it to be, right? That's how greens are. And I just remember getting on the phone with her and I was like, I know you're hearing me, but I need you to listen. Are you listening to me? She's like, yes. I was like, you are going to be okay. This is exactly what you wanted. It's not happening the way you wanted it to, but you are okay. And I just remember her being like, that meant so much to me that you just did that, because she needed an external voice to knock her out of her head, because greens can only see to the tip of their nose. It's like, oh my gosh, it's done. And so sometimes making sure whenever you're coaching a green and maybe someone quits or someone walks away, you got to run in and cast the belief like, hey, it's okay. We are going to get through this. Let's get back to work. And you got to help redirect them. So other than that, I love greens because they're super smart and I like to pick their brain a lot.
We are super smart, us greens. I want to fight for us. Oh, that was so awesome. Okay, last thing that we wanted to quickly touch on. So we feel very empowered right now. I feel very confident that we can lead the other personality colors. And don't worry, team, I took lots of notes. I'll type it up in a Word document. You guys know me. And then the last one, but sometimes we can get in our own way. And I know in my team page, I actually touched on this a little bit. Getting in our own way, getting in our own head, and our personality colors, we can cling on to them so much that we can allow them to hold us back. So touch on using our colors as excuses and things to avoid so we don't get in that trap.
Yeah, 100%. So as reds, I think the biggest thing that we can get in an excuse about is our ego. We're too good to do personal development. The best leaders are followers. The best leaders know when to follow. And, not doing personal development, I don't need that. That's a waste of my time. I think also just being reckless. I think sometimes if we take our greatest strength, my greatest strength is the fire I bring. My greatest strength is the passion that I have burning on the inside of me. could you imagine me being face to face with you like I am on a Facebook Live? I'd freaking blow you through a window. Like, no one would want to be, they'd be like, here comes Mayfield from 100 miles away. Cause I'm like, ah! Right. And so knowing when to tone things down. And I think sometimes Reds, I'm Red, this is just who I am. No, you're kind of a jerk. And you need to be able to know when to push and when to pull. You got to be able to know when, and listen, sometimes I've rolled the dice. Sometimes I'm like, hey, I'm going to say this. It's going to piss the person off. We'll see if they get over it. But I trust myself enough to know that. And I also think it's important if you're going to do that as a Red, you can't, and this is one thing I can say. And I've got some leaders on here. They can tell me I'm wrong in the chat. That's fine. I'll own up to that too. My team might not always like me. In my fire and my Red, I have no doubt I get under some of their skin. I ruffle their feathers, and I love doing that stuff too. But I firmly believe they trust me. And that's because I'm not afraid to apologize. I'm not too good for an apology. I'm not too good to admit, hey, I took you guys left, but now we need to go right. And so I think Red, sometimes we don't want to like admit stuff, and we don't like asking for help because it's like weakness for us. And I think that we've got to stop getting in our own way. I think we need to realize that the same fire that attracts people to us aren't always what the people need underneath us, that they might need a little bit more love, or they might, not everybody needs a coach. Some people need a cheerleader, and you got to know when to wear what hat. And that's just a matter of learning and social awareness and all that kind of stuff. So with Blues, I would say, obviously their lack of discipline. I think that it is the biggest thing that hinders them. I think it's a blind spot. I think that Blues have to say yes to everything in their life because they don't like being left out. My gosh, I'm the same way. If you were like, hey, Ashleigh, do you want to go to this butterfly farm? I'm going to be like, no. But then if you were like, everybody else is going to be there, I'm like, what time is it at? Let's roll. Like, I don't want to be left out, And so Blues, we tend to say yes to everything. And I think that's something that holds us back. And that's something just to be mindful of. We've really got to eliminate the things that do not bring us closer to our goals. We really got to be able to have a level of self-discipline, and Blues are the first ones to like piss and moan about their paycheck too. It cracks me up every time. But we've got to have this level of self-discipline. If we do not learn how to lead and manage ourselves, we are never going to be able to grow. I thought I had it in here, but I don't. And I know we're going to run out of time soon, but there's a book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0. If you're a dominant Blue, I highly recommend it. Emotional Intelligence 2.0. You only read 2 chapters. The rest is a quiz. It's kind of like a Strength Finders book or something like that. But it will assess you on, or it will test you on assessing your emotions, managing your emotions, assessing an atmosphere when you walk in a room, assessing like the temperature of a room, and then managing like conflict management. So if you walked in and 2 people were arguing, would you be able to manage them effectively? So 2 internal things, 2 external things, and it grades you. And really powerful. It helped me break through a really strong just bondage I was in 2 summers ago. I couldn't manage my emotions. I'm very self-aware, so I know how to assess what I'm feeling. I couldn't manage, and I'm like, man, if I could just learn how to bottle up this emotion and put it on a shelf to push through, that would change my world. And that book it taught me how to do that. It teaches you how to it gives you like practical tools you can implement for each of those 4 categories. So Emotional Intelligence 2.0, it'll absolutely change your life if you're a Blue. But I think also the lack of discipline and being feeling oriented, Blues, your feelings will have you eating the donut when you're trying to lose weight. It'll have you buying the shirt when you want to go debt free. You cannot live a life waking up every day bowing down to your emotions. You can't, because if I can't even tell you how many times I've wanted to quit this business. And I know for a fact, Valerie, the same. Like, if you don't think about quitting, if you don't wake up and this thing pisses you off from time to time, I firmly believe you're doing it wrong. You're not trying hard enough. It's supposed to, like, you don't wake up every day looking forward to being a mom. Get out of here with that crap. Like, don't come at me. You don't wake up every day being excited. being married to your, like, I mean, I love my husband. This man probably wants to kill me sometimes, y'all. I am crazy. Okay. Like, I know he ain't always like, oh, look at her. And I'm all like drooling in the bed. He's like, oh, she's so sexy. You know, like, just, you're not going to wake up every day and the thing you love is the thing you love. And so you can't like let your feelings dictate you. Yellows, I would say the biggest thing is you care so much about everybody else in your life. And that's really admirable, but you cannot pour from an empty cup. And I know we all hear that. And I know that's super cliche, but that's literally your ego. Like yellows, you got some big egos thinking you're everybody's teacher, you're everybody's caregiver, you're everybody's nurse, you're everybody's friend. You're not. And I think sometimes yellows, their desire to get things right and not wrong, it actually paralyzes them from just making a freaking decision. And so Mel Robbins, the 5-second rule, phenomenal book for yellows. Make a decision for the love. Even if it's the wrong one, like, you're not going to die. You're going to learn so much faster from just doing it than waiting to be told the answer. Because when you wait to be told the answer, it was situational. You didn't learn a principle, you learned situational information. And so you're going to go so much further learning principles and foundational information than anything, right? And so I think it's super, super important that yellows, you just learn how to be decisive. You learn to step up, give yourself permission, stop waiting. I've got yellows that wait for me to give them permission or approval. And I'm like, it's not happening. I'm not Jesus. Like, give yourself permission, give yourself approval. Because in my life, when I did that for me, when I said toodaloo kangaroo, I'm not a duck that quacks in that line. I'm going to go over here and do my thing. When I did that, I came alive on the inside. I came alive on the inside, you guys. This business is so much more than money. Like, my brain is alive. I am unemployable. I will never go back to a 9-to-5. Okay. And you've got to give yourself that permission. It's the greatest thing you'll ever do for yourself. And so yellows, in addition to that, I think the big thing that you got to be mindful of is you're just so busy managing your team and you think you're being effective by being there all the time, but you're not producing, and you got to be mindful of that. If you're not producing, excuse me, yellow's strong producers. I apologize. I didn't mean it like that. But if you're not producing, you got to remember that the best way that you can lead and inspire is your steps to success. And yellows are always like, but I want it for them more than they want it for themselves. I'm like, yeah, but you got to work too, you know? And so very important that you do that. Greens, I would just say again, like, greens tend to get in their head and thinking so much, that paralysis of the analysis, wanting all the information. I've got a lot of times new distributors that are green will come in and they'll tell me how they're going to launch. Well, I'm going to XYZ. And I'm kind of like, no, you don't need to do it that way, you know? And again, and that's just where I have to say, okay, how can I help them feel secure, knowing that right now our kit is electronic. We don't have a physical kit that comes in the mail, right? So being able to be like, no, we got to launch your business. Like, you might not get results right away before you share the products, but like, you can still share the products without results. We have other people's results that we share, and we have other resources, we have systems. And so I think with greens, again, if you can continue to partner with them and help them get through that first lull, they'll be very loyal to you. But helping them make money, they need to be able to see, because they're so efficient, they need to be able to see the money is there. And I mean, I just think being able to make sure that you're helping them not give a dissertation to people. They're going to want to give all the information. And I think sometimes that holds screens back, because how they think, they need to have, like, they need to see all the options available in order to make a decision. And you just have to understand that, like, literally 95% of the world is not like that. I mean, that's why sales is sales. That's why yard signs literally are an effective way to coerce someone into whatever it is that you believe or whatever it is that you want. That's why we have presidential yard signs. I remember one time being like, are those really effective? Why would we have them if they weren't effective? Because people are impulsive. That's why infomercials are a big deal. That's why it's like short, it's emotional, it's to the heart. It's totally a blue thing. It's just, And so greens, where you want to give a dissertation and give all the information, some people genuinely don't care. They literally want to know the price and they'll hand you their credit card. And so I think helping a green understand that, that's great for them, and point them in the direction where they can do that. Hey, go learn the comp plan. That will change your freaking life. And then you can teach it to everybody else. But I would say that's a great way for all those colors, just to be able to set them up for success, help them put parameters around themselves. This is kind of what I'll say. I always tell people, I have to protect you from yourself. That's my job as a leader. I have to protect me from myself. There are decisions that Ashleigh Mayfield wants to make that Ashleigh Mayfield as a tribe leader cannot make, because it's not what's best for the tribe. And so you've got to have that maturity to know, okay, am I stepping in as their leader, or am I stepping in as their friend? Okay, well, maybe I need to put the friend on the shelf because I've been a friend and it's not working. And now I need to step in as their leader. Or, man, I've really been riding them. I might just need to come in as a friend and make sure they're okay. And you got to be able to be agile and like feel that out. So, but that's it, y'all. I love the color personality. I'm telling you, I just kind of taught it to myself over the last 3 years, working with so many different people. It is a phenomenal resource that changed my life as a human being. And then I brought it into my business. So I love it.
Well, thank you so much. That was amazing. The girls are already raving over here that this has just been life-changing. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy evening to pour into these girls, and also welcome your leaders that are on here kind of sneaking on listening too. Welcome all of you guys. But thank you so much. And you guys have a great evening. We are done. I feel like that was awesome. So
bye guys. Thank you.